What's going on, Wes?
Just feeling the relief, Brian. I was actually a little anxious, had a little anxiety going on, worried about drinking on air with a straw because nobody looks cool drinking from a straw, right? And I'm
Sure. Yeah.
sitting here enjoying this nice frosty beverage, and then you made my day. You picked up your little coffee mug there and reciprocated the act. So
Dude, every time I catch a glimpse of myself sipping out of my little sippy straw in my coffee thermos, I go, what are you, 5? Like, it just always looks dumb. And so I was like, oh man, I gotta fix this. And now that we've called it out, I feel like I need to lean into it further. I think we need to address the real drinking elephant in the room, who is Delta Charlie in the chat. He says, I'm here, but we'll probably leave soon because I've drank too much. Listen, at least you have the wherewithal to know, to be self-aware enough, Charlie, to know maybe I should go because I'm about to get shit faced. That is not the wherewithal or self-awareness I ever had as a drunk. I never knew when to leave, and I always caused a scene. So, so thank you for
that's good.
yeah. Is it? Is it?
It's good if he means that he's leaving the stream.
Right.
It's bad if it means that he's leaving the place where he's at.
Oh,
Drink responsibly,
I'm
gang
at a
cats.
bar, and so I should probably leave because I'm shit faced.
Yeah.
Man, I was the king of that. I just disappear in the middle of like everyone's hanging out. Boom, where did Bryan go? No one fucking knows. Everyone be like, it would be the next day. They'd be like, where did you just disappear to? I'm like, yep, that's right. Sneaky like that. Because I knew shit was about to get bad. I knew I was about to get crazy. So I better get home so I can be crazy in private.
Right.
Uh,
Plus, I mean, sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to make the rounds and say goodbye to everyone. It's going to take another hour.
yeah.
Let's just leave and never come back.
Yeah, and then there's always people who will try to convince you to stay because there's all you need to have one more all the time, just one more. Come on, it's
Hmm.
my birthday. You can't leave yet. It's always somebody's fucking birthday, isn't it, Wes?
Yeah, it's always VR Spry Guy's birthday. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
VR
VR
Spry.
Spry Guy. All right. And on that note, let's start the show.
Go.
He's not a blue box. This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Wise Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern for your viewing pleasure. But don't worry, you guys and girls and everyone, non-binary. We also care about your oral pleasure. That's why our good friend RidePop uploads this on podcast services of your choice. And if you think conversations like this are just too much to fucking deal with when you're trying to get your goddamn PSVR2 news, well, we understand. We also think it's ridiculous. And that's why our good friend, oh boy, I almost did it again. Dude, I'm going to say Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry's name till the end of time. Brody, the Game Cat Army General, puts timestamps into the show after the fact. So shout out to those guys. My name's Bryan Paul from this channel right here without parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, you're right. It's Wes Dillon and his straw from Virtual Strangers.
What's up, Brian? What's up, gang cats? Pumped to be here, Brian. I've been sitting at this desk all day, and in a haze of constant emails and messaging, and I'm looking forward to just sitting back and chilling. I know I say the same shit every week, but it's true.
Yeah.
This is my break. This is my oasis, and I'm very, very pleased to
Is
be
this
here with you
your
all.
VR oasis?
No, that's on Saturdays normally.
Okay. Totally different. Yeah. Wes, it is very strange. Yes, like you said, we talked about it many times before, probably say it every week. But like I could be in the biggest haze. I had a sleep study last night. I did not sleep well during said sleep study. I don't know. They put this mask over you where it's like when you try to breathe in, it's difficult. And then when you try to breathe out, also difficult. Like, what is that about? And they're like, and now go to bed. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I feel like somebody is trying to suffocate me. And now you want me to sleep. So,
Yeah.
it didn't go as well as it could have gone, and now I'm tired. But you know what? Like all day, I've been sitting here working on like my Arizona Sunshine remake review, and of course the horror retrospective that I've been trying to get episodes out every Thursday. So I've got a lot on my plate, and I've just been sitting here going, "Oh man, I can't even focus. I'm so tired. I can't get anything done." The second we start the show, Wes, I'm like, "Let's fucking do this." I'm so ready.
Showtime, baby.
Love it.
We were born for this.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's like there's something. It's like something very Pavlovian about it, right? Where it's like you're just like, oh, it's Gamescast time, and your brain switches into like reserve mode or something. Like, what is that? I love it.
Oh, absolutely.
Nice. Wes, you and I were just talking about this before the show started, but obviously one of the things that you were sort of hyping up, and rightfully so, was your next Here They live stream, and you were saying it was going to be bigger, or at least better in some regard, than last year's. And I know you've said it on your channel, but now it's time to say it on this channel. You got to let the cats know what's going on.
Yeah, obviously, and I probably should have never teased it to begin with, because as soon as I did that, in true VR enthusiast fashion, people were blowing it like out of proportion, like we were going to be doing this crazy thing, which we kind of are. But I mean, it's not that much of a build from last year, but it is a build from last year. Last year we had, as I was playing through the game, again, for those of you who don't know, every year I stream Here They Lie, start to finish, and I analyze it for you because it's a very artistic game. There's lots of underlying meanings and messages in the game that a lot of people don't catch because the visuals are so visceral and graphic. That's really all they can think about. They don't really contemplate what the meaning of the game is.
Yeah.
So I stream it every year. Last year, for the second half of the stream, like the last 3 hours, the game's creator joined me on commentary. So we were sitting there having a conversation about it while I played. And I didn't want to do it again this year because obviously that was so awesome. Like, I'm going to go back to just having another normal gameplay stream. But a little over a week ago, maybe 10 days or something like that, the game's creator reached out to me and said, "Hey, are we streaming again this year?" And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely, we're streaming again this year." And he said, "Great, because the guys on the team keep asking me about it and they want to participate this time." So next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but the one after, Saturday, October the 26th, we're going live with our Here They Lie gameplay stream. And not only will the game's creator, Corey Davis, be joining us, but 5-6 members of the development team will also be joining us on commentary as I play, jumping in and out. I don't think the whole crew is going to be there the whole time, but we're going to have various members of the development team jumping in and out. And that's awesome. Not only because we're going to get their insights on Here They Lie, but they also have a new studio and a new game that has since been announced. And we're going to get asked them about that as well.
Nice.
So I'm very much looking forward to it. Shout out to those guys for being so fucking awesome that they basically pushed me into making a better stream this year than I even had thought that I ever would. And I'm really just looking forward to getting in there and playing it again.
Are you already nervous about next year's stream? You're like, how am I going to top this? This is it, man. Or is this the ultimate one?
This will probably be the ultimate one, but I did kind of already have a plan B that I was going to ask them to help with. And it wasn't going to be as cool as what we did last year, but it would be something different to do.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're not doing that this year, we can do that next year, maybe.
Cool. Very exciting as always, Wes. Anything else? Anything else going on Virtual Strangers that we need to know about?
Just me struggling to keep a regular schedule. You know, pretty much for the last few weeks, I've been so busy. And again, it's just me now. With Eric's been on the road and Roots is on break, so I'm producing all of the episodes and hosting most of them by myself. And I haven't really been able to keep a regular schedule. I'm getting an episode out every week. I'm trying to get 2 out every week, and it's just not working. So when I'm doing episodes now, they're like 6 hours, 7 hours long. But yeah, I'm going to be gone this weekend. But the good news, Eric's coming back to town tomorrow. He's been
Nice.
gone from home for like 3 months,
It's been a
like
while.
literally. Yeah, it's been a long while. He's been in California, but he's coming home tomorrow. We're gonna do a show on Friday this week. We normally go on Saturday. We're going on Friday this week. The show page is already up for those of you who want to get in there and join us. But yeah, man, they're just struggling to play all the games and do the content. But always enjoying it when I do find the time to get it done.
Well, I was gonna say if you ever need me for a show, and then I was like, that's gonna be a terrible thing to say out loud. So don't say it. You don't want to commit to something like that. Your streams are long, and they tend to be at like 2 o'clock in the morning at the earliest. And I'm an old man these days, Wes. I legit, because of the work that's going on around here, because of having to get up so early, because of the guys that work here. I've been waking up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at like, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was just about to volunteer, and then I was like, that's a fucking terrible idea. So I retracted it as I said it.
Well, now that you mention it, I mean, I know it's still a little ways off,
Yeah.
but trust me, the 2024 show will be here before you know it.
Ooh, I'm down. I'm down.
And yeah,
Yep.
exactly. PSVR game of the year. You got to join that conversation.
Hell yeah. Maybe we can drag AJ in there with us. I know that he's a friend of the show as well these days.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe about bringing him in for the mods section. We do mods like it's a platform now because there's so many.
Perfect.
So many of them, and that's kind of his deal these days. I don't know if you noticed or not, but he's all about the mods.
Yeah. I miss my friend.
I do too. I haven't talked to AJ in like 2 or 3 weeks.
I
3 days stuff is for the birds.
We did a show Monday. I don't feel like I talked to him recently. So. All right, man. We got like one pretty decent news story today, and I'm gonna preface it by saying, Jesus Christ, how much busier can October get? Listen, Wanderer just got delayed out of October, and somehow October is busier as of today than it was just a couple days ago. Like it is crazy how much stuff is happening in October for PSVR2. It's not like a ton of big titles, but it's a ton of like promising smaller titles. And I think it's going to be the quantity over the quality that's going to absolutely kill me. Because, I mean, like trying to cover all of this stuff in one way or another, it's going to be very difficult. So you guys already know what game I'm about to talk about. So before I do talk about it, and if you don't know, that's the name of the fucking video. Spoilers. I just want to remind you guys what's coming in October. All right. So literally tomorrow is Arizona Sunshine Remake, as if that wasn't big enough. And then next week, October 24th, Vendetta Forever. Wes, you've played a bunch of that. Are you able to talk about that?
I'm able to talk about the levels that I've played. They just basically gave us a demo, which I think the demo even went public. So yes, I'm allowed to talk about that.
Excellent.
I haven't played any of the newer levels that they did. I think they updated and sent out a new demo to some of the content creators. Maybe I haven't had a chance to play that, but I completely owned the 5 levels that they let us play about 6 weeks ago. And yeah, you should find our logo in the game. Like when I say I owned it, I owned it. Like I there was a competition and I won all of them. So I had fun with it.
We also got Darkness Roller Coaster PSVR2 Remastered Edition, October 29th. We got Reboloid, October 30th. We got Human Fall Flat VR, which I'm actually excited for, coming out on Halloween, October 31st. Playground VR, which looks terrible, on October 31st as well. Deadland 2 VR coming out October 31st, and also Deadland Polygon VR coming out October 31st. And then just today, we got the announcement that October is even more action-packed. And we got the release date for WhiteWater VR Extreme Kayaking Adventure. This is coming out October 24th. This is next week, you guys. Same day as Vendetta Forever. So very exciting 24th we have coming up. Now, Wes, the last time I feel like every time we talk about WhiteWater, it's you and me. And so here we are back again. So I'm just going to bring up the newest trailer I could find. And I got to say, man, like there are a couple kayak games out there. Obviously, we have one on PSVR2 already, Kayak VR Mirage, which is pretty awesome. But I think a lot of people didn't, thought it was a little too chill, maybe too tech demo-y. This is the other realistic looking one, WhiteWater VR, except it focuses more on rapids. So it should be, just by design, more exciting than kayak, just because of you're moving faster, you're going over the rapids, probably slamming into rocks, all sorts of good stuff. Next week, Wes, do you think this has a chance to totally take kayak's spot as the premier kayak game on PSVR2?
Yeah, maybe. I think it will possibly be the only kayak game on PSVR2. It's
Throwing
definitely gonna be more
shade
of a
early in the conversation.
no, I'm just parsing the language out, and there's nothing wrong with being a beautiful VR experience. I think that Kayak VR Mirage will probably be the better demo to put new people in and wow them. I think it probably will look a little bit better than this, but this is probably going to be a little bit more exciting to play. This is not about exploration and about just kind of taking in the environment. This is about not crashing into the rocks. Um, and yeah, I mentioned that I played some kayak game on Steam forever ago, and I've wondered aloud if it was this one, but I don't know that it was. And I'm starting to think that maybe it wasn't, because that game was very janky, and this one has a 92% positive rating on Steam. Like, people are very positive about this game. So this might be very good. Although I will say that it is a little weird that we have multiple kayak games and no fishing games. That's strange.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe check the Steam page and tell me if this is the one you played. What did you play? Downstream VR WhiteWater Kayaking, which, let's be fair, is just the same title with the words in a different order. Because it's
that's probably it. I could probably end the mystery just by going to my damn library and looking.
Yeah, I suppose you could do that. But
probably.
But I mean, listen, this is this one does. I'm actually excited to play this one, mostly because I'm wondering about the controls. I should probably read through the Steam reviews, and I'm sure they'll answer it for myself, or they'll answer them for me without having to play it. Kayak VR Mirage felt like you just had to like do things perfectly. You had to actually have a very simulation like movement with your hands, with the oars, and I'm wondering if this is going to be a little bit more arcadey. It's going to have a little bit more leeway to let you just kind of have fun with it and still go fast without, making sure you get the exact right motions down. And in, I think, the other trailer, it could be this one, I'm just not paying attention. One of the trailers showed you crashing into boxes in order to add more time to your in-game clock. And I find that to be exciting because it's more than just, right. It's more than just, hey, here's a beautiful kayak environment and a kayak that you get to row. They've really gamified the whole thing, right? I would rather have this be a kart racer than a simulation. So I think this leans into more what I'm looking for.
No, it's time trials, and I love that. I like that format. In any type of game, like that used to be one of my favorite things in the challenge levels in Farpoint. Remember those? You have to like make it across the line to get another 30 seconds to try to make it a little further. So that could be cool and exciting depending on how well balanced these courses are.
Vince Virtua says, looks really nice visually, a bit like kayak, hopefully pro enhanced. Dude, that's gonna be so cool. I mean, we are what, a month away from the pro release. It's gonna be so cool to see which games are actively pro supported on day one, right? Because even without the PSSR being enabled for PSVR2 games, it does seem like some of these developers out there are just taking advantage of the raw horsepower of the PS5 Pro and saying, I think it's Cube and I think Kayak VR Mirage. It sounds like Subside will, if not at launch, will have a pro mode eventually. So it's all these really beautiful games, or these games that are beautiful already that are like, we want to make it even more beautiful which is pretty cool. It's going to be some real showcases, real show pieces for the headset.
Yeah, I'm very interested to seeing how all of this goes for sure.
Yeah. October 24th, guys. This is, just one more thing. Although Random Talksy in the chat's making me wonder. He says, where's Hydro Thunder VR? It is time that we get Hydro Thunder in VR. Good stuff. We got Drabs EB in the chat, who gifted 1 without Parole membership. Thanks for your generosity, Drabs. Drats. Oh my God. I can't read. My vision's gone today. My God, Drabs. Oh, it looks like Jan Z got it. Wes, on kind of slower days like this, I think it's fun to kind of put our feet up a little bit, not worry too much about playing games and reviewing games and making sure we're prepared for a show. Instead, what's fun is we just do a bunch of viewer takeover questions. And if you guys don't know how to get a viewer takeover question into the show, it's really easy. Just click the link in the description below after you subscribe to Wes's channel and join our Discord. Over on our Discord, you can post your viewer takeover questions in the viewer takeover channel, and then they randomly show up on this show. You don't have to pay anything. Although I do have to say it might be tornado time. Hey, what's up, bud? Hey, is it tornado time? Hey, is it tornado time? Look over here. Look over here. Huh? Look over here. Everybody wants to say hi. Hi, everybody wants to say hi.
Everyone say hello to Tornado. Hi,
right?
Tornado.
My goodness. Kisses? Kisses? Okay. Everyone's like crazy. All right, let's do this, man. I think you got the first viewer takeover question, don't you?
I do. This one came to us from T-Mac, the G-Cat. He says, viewer takeover, why does it feel like Sony pushed the PSVR1 harder than it's currently doing for PSVR2? I get that Astrobot, Farpoint, Wipeout, Everybody's Golf, Blood and Truth, and others were cultivated over years. Answer your own question, why don't you? But Sony was supposed to have a more thought out plan this time around. More powerful hardware, better controllers, less hassle, etc. It just seemed like Sony was willing to take more risks and experiment more. There's no secret that third-party devs have been carrying this thing and will continue to do so at least through next year. Yes, agreed. I think there's a number of things going on here. First of all, as usual, us as enthusiasts assumed a lot when we heard about the advancements of the next gen PSVR and the capabilities. We assumed that Sony first party would take full advantage of that and show third party developers the way. Like, this is what we're doing. You help us build this platform. And even at launch, it seemed like that's what was happening. And then in the months since then, it has tailed off a little bit. With that said, I do think that we all remember PSVR1 with rose-colored glasses. It was a magical time for all of us, obviously falling in love with video games again, thanks to that device. But you said it, like all of those games that we look back on so fondly were cultivated over years, and we're not even 2 years in yet with this platform. It's still in the infant stages. And as I recall, Bryan, you did an episode where you 1-to-1 compared like each month of releases, and to most people's surprise, PSVR2 won most of those months. Am I remembering that correctly?
I was going to hope that you remembered because I have no recollection.
Yeah, it seems to me like PSVR2 did a lot better than people expected when they were stacked up month to month, head to head. And of course, that has been some time ago now. And we're still waiting on the next first party announcement, let alone release. So the tides may have turned a bit since then, but it's still early days, and it's still my favorite platform to play VR on. So it's not all bad.
It is still early days, and don't forget that. Like, I think we were all a little shocked that Sony even managed to release a console in the middle of the pandemic, right? With chip shortages and all that, supply chain issues. it was a bad time to release a console. It was they've been struggling to market it. They've been struggling to get all their teams on board with anything, right? It's like they've got all these studios, 20 first party studios, and we have no idea what most of them are working on. We haven't known what most of them have been working on for years now, right? It's been a year. Like, it is definitely time for most of them to release another game, right? We know that there's been a handful of games of service games canceled. We know there's been some internal restructuring at Sony. So there's a lot of things going on, you know, and I think the pandemic was, like a third of that, right? So there's just a lot of stuff that I feel like they're still trying to get back on track. They're still trying to kind of figure out this generation. But the fact is you can't be employing this many people and have them not working on games. That's the part that I'm always confused about, Wes, is that they're not paying these people to sit around and do nothing. That's thousands of people, if not tens of thousands of people that they're paying right now. And we don't know what any of them are doing, right? So it's taking longer for this generation to get going. And yeah, we had some cool first party stuff at launch. Gran Turismo, for example, was a really big one. And then obviously Horizon was a big deal. But I mean,
out of the entire 6-year generation of the original, did we have a title, a first party VR title that matched either one of those? Like, we didn't get any big first party titles that had big IPs tied to them like that the whole time.
Right. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's, you know, it's there's definitely quality. There's a quality thing that we got to talk about. Whereas like all the PlayStation VR1 first party games were definitely of a certain level of quality. They weren't AAA, but they were certainly like nearing single A. They were pretty awesome. And the fact that a lot of them came out 2 years in to the life cycle, it's like, well, that's kind of where we should be right now. But again, there's so many things going on at Sony and in the world that it's like you kind of got to go. Let's see what happens next year, right? And then we'll really get a better feel for how much they're supporting this thing. And I feel and I understand. Like, I know that it sounds like we've been saying that for a very long time because like we're kind of in the dark too, right? But again, I think you just got to look at facts and go, they're not paying all these people to do nothing. And so there's got to be another hybrid game in the works. I don't know if there's any built from the ground up VR games in the works going on over there. But what I can say is that we've been very fortunate because, and it drives me crazy that people still don't understand this. I think Sony's recognizing their own faults and saying we are not getting games out, first party games out for PSVR2. And so they say, hey, nDreams, how much can we pay you to make an exclusive game for our headset? Hey, Capcom, how much is it going to cost for us to get Village there on day one? Resident Evil 4 sometime after, Resident Evil 9 sometime after launch. Like they're spending lots of money to make sure that we are getting AAA VR content. They just don't have the means somehow, because Sony's baffling right now, to do it themselves. And so again, I and I'm kind of with everybody. You know, it felt like the AJ and I just did an entire show Monday, basically asking why the hell hasn't Sony gotten all their own PSVR1 games over to PSVR2, right? Port those at the bare minimum, and then we can talk about the future.
It almost seems like they're you know, looking at the first half of the PS5 life cycle, not just from a VR perspective, but in general, you would think that they're botching it, right? They've got such a lead on Xbox and any other platform that it almost seems like PS3 era hubris what they're doing right now and the way that they've kind of approached marketing and the release schedule. But at the same time, what you're saying is true. They have all these studios. They've been working for years on projects, and we don't know what those are. So it seems to me like they may have a strategy here where they're strong in the latter half of the life cycle, as they're leading in toward the next generation. The last 2 or 3 years, maybe they plan on winning by such a margin that by the time PlayStation 6 comes out, people are frothing at the mouth for it and have forgotten all about how the first half of the generation went. Maybe that's what's going on here. I do believe you're right. Like they're not just paying these people for nothing. These games, they've been working on them for so long. They have to be awesome, right? They have to be awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my favorite PS4 games and PS3 games. Fuck, I mean PS2 games. Yeah, almost every generation, my favorite games come out near the end of the console lifespan, and it's like I feel like everything is just so delayed right now. So everything is so pushed back that yeah, I feel like we're not going to see those games until long after PS6 is out. Sun WTF with the $5 tip says probably means nothing, but Fire Sprite was tweeting out Call of the Mountain today. Was strangely cool to see PSVR2 acknowledged. Yeah, I don't think they weren't saying anything specific, right? They were just.
It's sad that this is our level of that this is newsworthy. Oh, they mentioned us.
Yeah, for real. And I mean, listen, I say we get excited when they start tweeting about the persistence again. Right? If they do that, then I'll start getting excited. We already have Call of the Mountain. We don't have the persistence,
which they should, by the way. I mean, what a no-brainer. They wouldn't have to update it that much. Just give people hands, basically, and turn us loose. I mean, the game's already beautiful graphically, and
they updated it for the PS5, so it's ready to go, man. Just give us some hands. Give us some hands. Absolutely. Smash the PSVR1 and the PS5 version together, and boom, baby boy, we got what we're looking for. That's a weird way to say that.
Indeed.
Next viewer takeover question comes to us from Sandy's 232. Says viewer takeover #viewer takeover. From what you know from behind the scenes, how much has Sony helped developers? Are they doing enough? I think the answer is they're kind of terrible this generation. It sounds like, at least as far as like, some indie studios that I've been in touch with.
It depends. Like it's not unanimous. Like some people will come to their defense. Like, man, they've been great. They're very helpful. But it seems like maybe 2 or 3 to 1, right? Most people are saying like they're not very responsive. They don't want to help. They point to a lot of online resources rather than going hands-on and trying to help us out with adjusting to the platform and things like this. And that's just to speak of like support, like not money, but support. They are putting a little money out there. They did withdraw a little recently from investing as much, but they are starting to dip their toes in again, it seems, and become interested in VR again. I can't really talk more about it than that, but these seem to be the impressions that I'm getting.
Yeah, there was just a different level of communication, it feels like, during the early PSVR1 era. You talk to people like Chandana Ekanayake from Outer Loop Games, who made Falcon Age, and was it Westward Sky? God damn, why can't I even remember like game names anymore, dude? WhiteWater, thank you. Yeah. And those conversations always made it sound like they were very they wanted developers' input on the design of the PSVR itself, of the headset. They wanted to they basically like met with these people all the time, all these indie developers, and then worked with them to make sure that their games were not only ready for launch, but then they got White Moon Dreams involved, making those demo discs, making sure that like all these games were represented at launch. You get to try a bunch of them. Like, so it just seemed like they really, really, really were invested in this thing. They wanted to make it work. And this time around, they were like, well, they're like, we just need to get the headset out, and and third parties will take care of us. And fortunately, Wes, I don't think we've ever seen third party output like we're about to see over the next few months. Like, I think legit starting tomorrow with, or maybe it's already started, right? With Metal Hellsinger and Max Mustard, and then tomorrow, Arizona Remake and Aces of Thunder. And I mean, like, we go through these lists all the time, but Behemoth, and I mean, just wander. So many games all coming in a short amount of time. And these look like some of the best third party games VR's ever seen. To the point where, like, I really do think that by the time January rolls around, no one's going to be like, well, where's Half-Life Alyx? Like it's going to be like it's going to become more of a relic and something that no one talks about quite as much because we've got all these newer examples, kind of showcasing similar gameplay mechanics, but maybe even better in certain ways.
Yeah, we had a similar boom, two years into the original VR generation, right? Where developers finally started to get a grip on the hardware, and we started to see the bar lifted in terms of quality. We didn't see that in the second generation because the second generation was dominated by low powered hardware with Quest, coming to prominence. Now we're in the third generation, and standalone's starting to catch up a little bit, and PC's making a resurgence, and people are starting to get a grip on how to develop for PS5. So we're about to see another third party boom like we saw in the first generation, where the bar is going to get pushed up again. And even like some of the Quest 3 games that we're seeing look like legitimately AAA experiences, and that's just good for everyone.
Agreed. We got Mark here with the $5 tip. Says, "Where's Aces of Thunder? They mentioned the fourth quarter, which is now, but still no release date. Any idea?" Excellent question, Mark. It's something we've been trying to keep tabs on. What I'll say is this: I'm very happy that they've been releasing new footage every other week or so. And it's been looking very good. It feels like every new piece of footage they show off is better than the last. There's always like more detail in the ground textures, more animations. Everything looks super sharp. We know it's running at 90 native, so like there's a lot of good things that we know about Aces already. I'm pretty sure they said it'll have HOTAS support, and so and then of course they mentioned that suddenly there's single player content, and so if it gets delayed out of Q4, then I think everyone's gonna be like, that's fine. Because they mentioned Q4 quite a while ago, and it's like, guys, do what you got to do to make this thing work. Although I guess they did recently. I'll correct myself here, Wes. They recently said we're still hoping to get it out in Q4.
Hoping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, it's definitely coming, and it's definitely gonna be here within the next 4 or 5 months at the latest, I'd say. But like, this is what I like. This is the kind of, when they say, "Hey, this is roughly when we think it'll be done." They're not giving us date and then missing it, and another date and then missing it, and another date. They say, "Hey, we think it's gonna be Q4," and then we're in Q4. Could still happen, but it sounds like even they don't know, right? It's like they're just like, "Oh, we're working on a fucking awesome game for you guys," and so when it's done, it'll be here, hopefully Q4.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, honestly, for us, and I can understand if you're like a sim enthusiast, how you might be disheartened by that. But for us, like, shit, send it to me in January, dude, February. That sounds way better to me, and I'll definitely give your game more attention during that period because we just have such a lineup of bangers now through the end of the year that I'm not going to really have time to play multiplayer flight sims. I'll get in and check it out, like if it comes out, and give it a couple hours and talk about it like we typically do. But if you really want me to dive into it, send it to me in January or February.
I already forgot. We already had. I mean, I mentioned Max Mustard and Metal Hellsinger, but then Prentice Summer Scales is in the chat saying, "I'm only 80 minutes into the Radius, really rich world of mechanics so far." Yeah, like that was an amazing way to kick off the season. So like, it's like these massive games have already come out, and I've already forgotten about them because I've just have to keep moving on to the next project. So it's been pretty crazy. Wes, you want to read off the next viewer takeover question?
Sure. Let's see here. Alex Dacon says viewer takeover. Bryan, this is for you, Bryan. Will you be able to unbiasedly review Flat to VR games when two of your co-hosts are employees of Impact Reality / Flat to VR?
No, we'll not be able to unbiasedly review them. They will all get 10s out of 10s because that is how we operate here without Parole. It's all about nepotism and favoritism, and we obviously care so very much about padding our review scores. No, That's not what we care about.
And obviously, Miles and I are on here plugging Trombone Champ nonstop every week, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I mean, obviously, it's always a little bit awkward when you have to be like, oh man, this game by this studio I really like, or by these people who I associate with, it missed the mark, or it's not very good. And but the thing is this is, like I love Miles and Wes, right? But like but I've gotten close to a lot of people over the years from different studios, even different like PR people from different studios, just because you end up in these, these email conversations or DMs, and you just over time you just start to get to know them, and like you start like shooting the shit about stuff that has nothing to do with the games that you're reviewing or the games that they're making, and you sort of become friendly with all of them. And so it always hurts a little bit when you have to, shit on something that somebody you like made. It doesn't mean you don't do it.
I hate shitting on games from people I don't know. Right. Like last week when we covered that, what was that horror game we covered last week?
Oh, right. Haunt and Seek.
Haunt and Seek. Yeah. When we covered that, I hated doing that. But and I never talked to that dude before. I've talked to him since. Yep. He was immediately in my DMs, talking to me about the game and the changes and stuff that they have planned, and sharing footage with me of someone who found the button behind the refrigerator. But I don't like doing negative coverage, period, let alone, with people that I know. So I get it's hard, but at the end of the day, Bryan and myself and all the people that I really associate with in this space, we understand that all we have is our credibility. And if we come on here and start shilling for anybody or anything, then all of a sudden what we say has no meaning. And then at that point, what's the point of even watching our content? So we have to be honest. And at Impact Reality, that starts with us being honest with these developers. And when they bring their games to us and they're not ready, we tell them, hey, you don't launch this. People are going to shit on it if you do. And that's kind of been my hope with Flat to VR. And I do have the utmost confidence that they won't launch anything until it's ready. They know what a good VR game is. So hopefully I won't put Bryan or anyone else in the position of having to feel awkward. But if it sucks, I'll tell you it sucks. And I know that to be a fact. So I'm sure Bryan would do the same.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys a little story here, maybe two inside baseball, and maybe somebody will be watching and their feelings will be hurt. But guess what? This is all in pursuit of the truth. And listen, you guys know how busy I can get. You guys know that I try to stay on top of reviews, but every so often, Resident Evil 4 will come out in December when I'm in the middle of my award show nonsense, and then it doesn't get reviewed for 10 months, right? Sometimes I just don't have the time to do my job because other parts of my job, self-inflicted, get in the way. And so, like, it happens. It happens. And I was friends with a developer who was putting out a game on PSVR2 and, talking almost daily. And I will tell you, the second they found out that I wasn't going to have time to review their game, they disappeared from like my life entirely. Like entirely. Somebody I used to talk to almost every day, Wes, and now like just gone from my life. And so it's like, you know what? I'm like, does that tell me that you were my friend because you thought you were going to get something special out of this relationship in terms of like your game? Or does it mean that, you were just sad that this happened or took offense to it? The answer is, Wes, I don't care, right? I miss this person, but I'm never going to do something that's bad for the channel or bad for myself. Just because
credibility, man.
Right? Just to save a relationship, just to save a friendship, just to say I don't care, man. That is all secondary, and that's also, and I'm not throwing shade here because I have lots of friends who do paid promotions. But that's also why I personally can't do paid promotions, because you've got to draw the line somewhere. And for me, like, I feel like my reviews are where I draw the line. My coverage of games is where I draw the line. And I cannot be doing a paid promotion because I don't know how to say, hey, I got paid for this, but it sucks. I don't know how to do that. So I'd rather just say, I don't want to get paid for it because I might have to say it sucks. Right? So that's, so in other words, to answer the question, it's not an issue even in the slightest for me to review these games that, you know, Miles and Wes are involved in.
I'll tell you a little funny anecdote from the other side of the industry now that I've been exposed to it. If you do take sponsorships and you do 2 or 3 of them in a row that say, hey, these games suck, guess what? You won't have many more sponsorships anymore. So just keep that in mind the next time you see a channel that has sponsored content up every week. These developers notice when they pay for things and it doesn't go the way they want.
I should take all of the money then and just have one big payout, right?
It'll dry up quick. You'll make a lot more money, by the way. You'll make a lot. You wouldn't believe what these dudes get paid.
Oh, I know how much they get paid. I've been offered.
Yeah. Yep. It's crazy.
Yep. I'd rather be poor. I'd rather be poor. Wes Godzilla with the $2 tip says Resident Evil 7 is $8. What are the odds of this coming to PSVR 2? Scott, I feel like the odds of Resident Evil 7 making its way from PSVR 1 to PSVR 2 are the same odds as Blood and Truth, as Everybody's Golf, as Wipeout and Mega Collection, as The Persistence, as Farpoint, right? Because it's treated in the same way that any other first-party PSVR 1 game would be treated. Sony paid for Resident Evil 7 to come to PSVR 1. They would again have to pay Capcom to bring it over to PSVR 2. These are the people in charge of making this happen. And like, again, I'm mystified that those other games haven't made it over. So I'm just as mystified about Resident Evil 7. So
they're incentivized not to do it because a large part of Capcom's revenue stream with Resident Evil now is remakes. And I gotta imagine Resident Evil 7 remake, while maybe still some time away, it is on their roadmap now. They know when they're going to do that. And by updating the game and bringing it into a new generation now, they're just undercutting their profits later. So I would be shocked if they brought it along, to be quite honest.
Gotcha. All right, I think we got another viewer takeover question here to tackle. Yep. All right, this is gonna be a fun one, I think. This is from Ben Schroeder. Again, you guys, don't forget to go to our Discord and leave your viewer takeover questions there. There's going to be plenty of slower news days for us to tackle a lot more questions all at once like this. Ben Schroeder writes, #viewer takeover. At the risk of everyone booing me, is it possible that VRAF mechanics are overrated? Is there any merit to the way Skyrim VR or Resident Evil 7 just let you sit back with a controller and relax? At some point, are we going to get sick of doing physical actions for everything from inventory management to adjusting settings? Wes, I feel like you're the perfect co-host for this one because I tend to sit. So, I mean, I think we both sit a lot every day for our jobs. And so for me personally, when it's time for me to play a game that I've got to review or anything else, I look forward to getting out of this chair, putting on my headset with my Pulse headphones, standing up and being as active as I can when I'm playing these games, because it's going to be some of the only activity I get all day. But then I talk to you and you mentioned that you play a lot, if not most VR games sitting down. Is that still accurate?
Sure. That is accurate, although I do have a different chair for it, and I must keep a much better posture than I keep in this one to sit in that stool over there. But this is an interesting question, and how the answer goes is just going to depend on who you ask. I'm of the mind that, if you give me my preference, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to choose VRAF mechanics over gamepad controls. But where there is a significant portion of the VR community that just will not deal with gamepad controls, most of the time they don't bother me at all. Like I can play a gamepad game and still enjoy it. And then there's someone like Roots, who is recently taken a leave of absence from our channel, and God knows if he'll ever come back. And one of the things he's been preaching about over the last 6 months or so is that, the VR mechanics are cool for a while, but after a while to him, they started just to seem like a gimmick. And that his whole stance is that the VR gimmick is not a substitution for deep gameplay mechanics.
Mhm.
And he thinks that a lot of VR development studios focus so much on implementing these mechanics into their game to make people feel like they're doing things with their hands that they forget to make an actual good game. And that when you quit being amused by all of that, then you start to see that the VR library is kind of shallow. Now, I don't agree with it to the extent that he does. Like he doesn't even want to play VR anymore. Like he's done with it because like 1 out of 10 games he actually enjoys now. And he would rather go back to playing flat. I'm not like that. Like if it came down to that, I would probably just stop gaming. Like I wasn't gaming before VR. I'm all about the experience, the immersion. Like I can play walking simulators in VR and just be perfectly content with it. But not everyone's like me. So the answer is going to vary from person to person. But yeah, if you're someone who enjoys like a really deep gameplay mechanic and something like that, and you hold that above everything, eventually these VRAF mechanics are. I mean, you're going to get tired of climbing ladders and stuff with your hands. It's not going to mean all that much to you after you've done it 1,000 times. So
The game cat Andrew Ehrenreich in the chat said just played Transference with the gamepad and it was still awesome. Looks amazing
yeah,
in the VR2 headset. Somebody was playing on PC. I see.
yep.
Rachel, that janky game cat, says, I don't mind VRAF, but give me a goddamn crouch button. My knees just aren't as good as they used to be.
Yes.
I'm with you on that. Yep. It's going to be a good compromise for sure. Listen, I want to point out something because I think things change and people change. I remember back when I was first playing Resident Evil 7 on PlayStation VR1, and I would get all comfy on my couch, and I'd have my DualShock 4, and I'd have a blanket around me, for protection from the bakers, and I would be so thrilled that I could just play the game like I would on the flat screen, but in VR with a little bit of head tracking for certain
Right. You can
activities.
peek around corners, hide behind boxes and stuff just by moving a little bit in your space. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And I went to bat for that. I was like, you know what? Like I was angry when people got super into the whole weapon thing about, oh, you got to have manual reloading and this and that. And I was just like, this is like, I don't want to be in a simulation. I want to play games, but I want to play them from the inside. And I slowly grew out of that. And I started going and I started really seeing what some people have been saying the whole time, saying that, oh, manual reloading adds so much to the immersion. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. That you are right about that. And then, playing games with two hands in the game and actually reaching out and picking something up or swinging that sword or firing the gun with your hand. The reason VR isn't taking off, one of the many reasons, is because people look at that and they go, wow, what a gimmick. Right? But it's not. It's like, it's in the same way that we got so used to originally the X button firing a weapon, and now it's the R2 button or trigger firing a weapon. This is just the way we do things in VR. And what I'm feeling fortunate about is that we're also, as we move forward, we're kind of standardizing the way things work in VR to the point where just dropping a clip, shoving a new one in, cocking the gun, and then firing with the trigger is like the X button or the R2 trigger now. It is becoming standardized. And also as we do it more and more, it's less impressive. We just expect this from games. It's no longer revolutionary. And so now that these things are becoming standardized, the focus can get back to what's important ultimately, and that is the game itself. That is deep gameplay mechanics. That is a lengthier gameplay or a game that you've purchased. Better story. These are all the things. And so I do think, but we're getting there slowly. Like, it's been very slow. I think it's taken us 8 years just to get here. And it's going to take us another, I would guess, probably 6, 7, 8 years to catch up to flat screen gaming. And I think that's maybe if we're
Yep.
lucky, right?
It's because we hit the reset button, like I alluded to a moment ago. Like in VR's second generation, we took a step back in terms of quality of games. We're just now getting back to 2017, 2018 standards again for all platforms. Now we're going to basically get to the where we should have been in 2020, right? Um, but we're going to have 20 million more people because of the step back that we took. It was a necessary evil, but it was evil.
Right. No, I still love when people will comment on trailers and go, why does this look like a PS3 game? I was like, because now we're,
Because you don't have the headset on.
well,
That's
right.
why.
It also takes more horsepower to display the image that you're seeing, right? It's yes, we had to take a generational step backwards in order to be inside the game, right? It's such amazing technology, and the people who are against it are baffling. But also, they're people that I didn't grow up with. They're people that didn't watch The Lawnmower Man when they were 15 or Nick Arcade when they were 12. And never cared about being inside a video game. They grew up with tablets and being like all about convenience. And who cares? I don't want to be inside this thing. I just want it in my pocket and play it whenever. Ha ha ha. Nice and easy. Right? It's different set of ambitions, I think, as gamers. I think if you're younger than a certain age, and it's not, this is not a, I know I'm painting with a very large brush right now. And so I don't mean to exclude anybody, but people younger than a certain age did not grow up desperately wanting to be inside of a video game. It just didn't happen. This has been the subject of movies and TV shows and conversations and gaming manufacturers. Sega and even Atari back in the early 90s were all trying to create VR headsets, right? So it was always this thing that was just out of reach. There were kiosks in the mall that you had to pay $20 to play a 10-minute fucking thing that'll make you sick, with like 17 polygons in it total. Right? It's always been almost there, and now it's finally here. And there's a whole group of people that just don't give a fuck that it's here. It's very strange.
Well, I mean, people get in general they get comfortable and they fear change, and VR is such a profound difference from playing on a flat screen, where it can be. Certain games are they just again they'll hand you a controller and just kind of set you down inside of a flat game, which I enjoy as well. But some, like a legit built from the ground up first person VR game is a completely different thing than playing a flat game with a controller. Like it's not even technically the same thing. It's a different experience, and a lot of people are afraid of that, and I feel like they're afraid that if it gains too much popularity, that their thing, whatever they love, is going to go away, which is never going to happen. Obviously, we're going to continue to gain market share, but I don't think maybe in the very very distant future will overtake traditional gaming. But I mean, we're talking decades from now.
Yeah, no, I think the big next step is when we get to that point where most games are developed with VR in mind. Like, hey, here's your flat screen game, but we also considered VR while we were making this, and you are also able to play this in VR as a bonus. Right? I think that's the next step. We are very far away from anything else being true. Smith in the chat says, no Tron, really? Yeah, my apologies. Tron has never been a thing in my life, like ever. I don't even think I've seen the original Tron movie, Wes, which is probably a little embarrassing to say.
I'm right there with you. I know a lot of people talk about it, and I'm familiar, obviously, with it because people talk about it all the time. But
Right.
I've never watched it and was never a fan.
Yep. I just got to suck it up one night and watch it and put myself back in 12-year-old Bryan shoes and be like, oh my God, the future's going to be amazing. Look at the light cycle. Yeah. Let's tackle some tips, man, and make sure you have a game ready for the 4-minute challenge, because it is your turn.
That's what I'm doing right now.
I could tell. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I know that look in your eye, that wandering look, going, is this one too tough? Wait, I've never even heard of this game.
Right.
Thundercat with the £5 says, for never selling out and being the dude. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And also, I do want to double down and say, like, I've got a lot of friends. Again, I didn't want to shit on anybody who does promotional stuff. I totally understand if you're able to separate the promotional stuff from the stuff that where you're critiquing and being critical. I'm sure a lot of other channels do that very, very well. I don't see that in myself being able to do that, period. So that's the only reason I kind of shit on it is because I don't do it personally. But I would never shit on anybody who does it. A lot of people do it, and they're great people.
No, you can't blame them. And honestly, I would do it if it weren't for. I know that a significant portion of my community would lose faith in my opinions if I did it. Like I think I could do it and be unbiased. Like I don't think taking a sponsorship would ever cause me to say anything different about a game. But there are a significant group of people out there who say that's impossible. If someone's lining your pockets, then you're going to treat them favorably, even if you don't realize it. And I know people believe that, so I don't do it. I have taken a sponsorship before where like I'll do an ad read. Like that's a completely different thing doing ad reads. But as far as like paid coverage, I've never done it, and it's not that I think there's anything wrong with it. I just know that there's a certain group of my viewership that would lose respect for the channel, so I've avoided it thus far.
Yeah. Yep. I do know that I need to take a sponsor at some point, right? Because I'm barely scraping by, and that's not something I ever want to throw onto the cats. It's like you guys have been super generous, helping us get to PAX East, paying for people's plane trips and hotel rooms and all that. So like I call on you guys when we need it. You know what I mean? Because every so often we definitely need your help. But like day-to-day stuff, people look at the channel and they say, oh, 100,000 subscribers. You must be doing great, right? I've met people recently who have been like, oh, damn, you must be raking it in 100,000 subscribers. And it's not the way it is. Like this is... I had my income on the channel hasn't gone up in 5 years, I think. Like it's been this even keel of thank God I paid off this place and I drive a really old vehicle for a very long time. And so I'm very happy without money. I'm totally fine with that. But at a certain point, I do think that like you got to start saving in case of something bad happens. Right? Like some emergency happens, some medical emergency, whatever, right? I could have a fire, who knows? And I'm not prepared for that. And so I do need to start putting money away. So if I do take a sponsor, it will not be gaming related. And that is the reason that I'll do it. It's just to kind of secure my future a little bit. We got Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the Australian $10 says Thundercat speaks the truth and has inspired me for all the hard work and objectivity, Bryan and other host. We definitely have a great crew here, man. I love all you guys. Really trust everyone's opinion. I love that we all kind of come at it from a slightly different angle. We all generally have roughly the same feelings about games, but we all have like different takes. And I always really enjoy talking to you guys about all that.
Same.
Ghost Face Gamer, the Game Cat, with the 1337. Oh, he changed it. He was Leather Face Gamer. Okay. He says, thank you for all the unbiased and 10-month late reviews. I know. Dude, Wes, put yourself in my shoes. The Resident Evil 4 review has been hanging over your head for the better part of like a year. You finally say, fuck everything. I need to make sure I get this out in October as part of like, the big Without Parole October celebration. Spooky month is here. We're gonna review Affected the Manor a year late. We're gonna review Twilight Zone months late, and finally Resident Evil 4, this massive game, right? You spend 30-40 hours just scripting and editing the review, never mind the time it took to play the game. And all of the comments are like, didn't you already review this? Like all of them are like, why are you reviewing this now? Why is this 10 months late? It's like, yeah, okay. No, everyone put me in my place and they were fucking right. Right to do so. Absolutely. Wait, Leather Faceville VR. Oh my God. You're right. I'm so sorry. I totally confused Ghostface Gamer with Leatherface Phil. I apologize.
These people are all going to freak out in a few months when we name Resident Evil 4 the 2024 show game of the year.
Oh my
Because
god.
because I barely played it, and it came during December, which is outside of our nomination window, so it's actually nominated this year instead of last year.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't even want
Behemoth's
to
going
think
to win
about.
next year.
Dude, I don't want to think about crap. What am I doing? I don't even want to think about what's it called? The end of the year stuff. I don't want to think about the award show. I'm pretending like we're not doing an award show because I just can't even start thinking about that yet. But I'm gonna have to start thinking about that soon. But we did get Resident Evil 4 into last year's award show, and so we do get to start fresh this year. Man, the question is will Alien Rogue Incursion make it in this year? When's the cutoff date gonna be? No one knows.
But we decided to just completely disallow December, not only because it's so hard to play the games while you're preparing for this show, but recency bias is real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to tell how good a game is less than a month from when it was released. So that's kind of the reason why we did it the way we did it.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah. Good call. Good call. Yeah, I guess cutting out December entirely, it'll suck, but I think it'll have to be what happens if I want to maintain my sanity. But who knows? Maybe we'll see if I even do an award show this year because it almost killed me last year. The Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich with the $5 tip says, speaking of VR movies, anyone seen Existence? Awesome 90s movie about a virtual reality game. Is that 90s? I mean, I remember seeing that. That was Jude Law. I think it was Jude Law, right? Yeah, I remember this being like these organic controllers, and it was like a little bit Inception. Like you never knew if they were inside the VR game or not. That was really good. I really enjoyed that one. Good shout, Andrew Ehrenreich.
Yeah, not familiar.
Oh, dude, put it on your watch list. It's good. Macho, the real estate procrastinating game cat with the $2 tip says, I have 30 hours into the radius, and I'm not even done. Yeah, it's a depending on difficulty you set it at, it can be a very long game. Or
even at normal difficulty. I mean, if you're like really into exploring and scavenging, you can stretch that thing out as long as you want. Like you can play it forever.
Yeah, I played on normal, and man, I kind of plowed through the last couple missions because I was like, dude, I gotta fucking review this thing. But like, I really wish I had taken my time more, especially since trying to plow through anything into the radius means you're just gonna die a lot. It's like,
right.
It's definitely not what I wanted to do. But man, yeah, I enjoyed my time with that so much. And on top of that, I know it just got a recent patch that was supposed to be like good for making climbing ladders better, and some of the menu stuff better, and then some of the frame rate stuff, which again was I played through mostly on performance mode, running at 90 native, and I still saw a lot of frame hitches later into the game. So I'm looking forward to getting back in there and testing everything out and making sure everything works right.
Yep, we'll be talking about it this Friday for Game of the Month that we've been trying to do for 3 weeks.
Nice. That's awesome. Now let's ride the game. Feline in the chat says Existence sounds like a penis enhancement medication. It does. It does. I think this was before things like that were sold in every single gas station on the face of the planet. But yeah, now that you say it, it's exactly what it sounds like. The Marvel Sod with the $50 tip says, shit, I only have a few minutes between meetings. Here's money. Thanks for all you do. Stay awesome, everyone. Can you be picturing the Marvel Sod like running by the office, just throwing money at us as he runs to his next meeting?
Quarters. Yeah, like quarters and nickels and stuff.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for your generosity, keeping the lights on. I fucking love you guys so much. Please remember, money is always secondary or tertiary around here. We're just happy that you're here. Never feel obligated ever. We try to pull in as many comments from the chat as we can, even if you didn't tip. So keep the conversation interesting, and and we'll keep an eye on you.
Word.
GameCat goofing in virtual unreality says, keep the plastic wrap up. It's a good decoration for spooky season. Yeah. This is my kill house.
I noticed that too. And you know, organically, watched a episode of Dexter this week. It just happened to pop up. So
Nice.
we
What
we'll let it run.
do you know what season it was from?
I have no clue.
Hey, I get very peculiar about Dexter. Some people go, oh, it fell off on this season, it fell off on that season. Dude, people are gonna hate me. People are gonna unsubscribe en masse right now when I say this, but I didn't even like the John Lithgow season. Sorry, John Lithgow is Third Rock from the Sun Dad. That's who he is to me. Not I have a problem, man. I have a major problem. Once somebody gets like typecast in my head, I can't untypecast them. Like they are that person
that's
forever.
bad too. Because John Lithgow actually is a very versatile actor. So
yeah. Yep. Asia Rats with a $2 tip says, Into the Radius Trophy Guide out. Oh, Asia Wrath made, sorry, I didn't understand what the tip was. Asia Wrath made an Into the Radius Trophy Guide. So go check out Asia Wrath's channel. And hopefully the trophy guide is good. Congrats. I'm sure that was not easy. As somebody who does a lot of video editing and a lot of scripting, I don't do trophy guides or walkthroughs or anything because it's just, man, it's a lot of fucking work. So a lot of respect, Asia Wrath.
Word.
Wes, are you ready to play a little 4-minute challenge?
I am indeed, Brian.
Excellent. Well, then everybody out there, this is how this works. We have ditched 20 questions and changed it to infinite questions. Also reduced the time down to 4 minutes. But that means that I'm going to need all the help I can possibly get from all of you guys out there. I'm just talking directly to Looper. That's what I'm doing. We're like, Looper, you're the one playing this game, so get ready. All right, man. PSVR1 or PSVR2 game? No, that's not me asking a question. That is me trying to set this thing up. Let me put 4 minutes on the clock. Clock will encounter the way that Jeremy likes it. On your mark. Get Dez. Go. Is this a PSVR1 game?
Yes.
Is it also on PSVR2?
No.
Is it horror themed at all?
No.
Oh. Well, I've run out of questions. Does it use the aim controller?
No.
Did it come out in the first year of PSVR1's lifespan?
No.
Okay. Is it a wave shooter? Let's get the big ones out of the way. Ooh.
No, not really. I mean, no.
Do you have full locomotion?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Oh no. All right. Are you shooting guns? Is that what you're doing mostly in this game?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Are you on rails?
No.
Okay, so kind of full locomotion, but not on rails. Interesting. Random Toxie's asking, is it a piece of crap? Trademarked.
It depends on who you ask. I wouldn't say it's terrible.
Okay. Divisive, maybe.
Maybe.
Markio is asking if it's first person.
It is.
Are you ever in a vehicle?
No, I don't think so. That's 10.
Okay. Let's get this out of the way. Is it made by any first party studio? Possibly first or second party? No.
No.
Okay. Is it rhythm based?
No.
Okay. Is it by Ivanovich?
No.
Do you fly?
No.
Are you an animal?
No.
A lot of no's. Is it based on an IP or part of a franchise?
No.
No. Okay.
15.
This is bad, you guys. Has this developer made other PSVR1 or PSVR2 games?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, we are in so much trouble, you guys. I needed a 7-minute challenge. Okay. let's see. Shooting. I don't know what's going on with this. We said it doesn't use the aim controller. Does it use the move controllers?
It does.
Can you use the DualShock?
No.
Is it
I don't think
multiplayer?
so. No.
Okay. And you're shooting guns, so not Sacrolith, not archery games. Has this game made it to other VR platforms like Quest or Steam VR?
Yes.
Okay. Magic's wondering if it's more of an experience than a game. Would you call it an experience?
I wouldn't say so. No, it's a game.
Man, this is rough. This is rough. Nothing is coming to mind right now.
It's 15, and that's for context. People in the chat who thinks it's funny that I count. It's for context. It's for us to know if the 4 minutes is the right time or not.
No, it can't be super hot because there's no locomotion in that game. Remember, there's some kind of movement. Shit, dude. We got 4 seconds. I just got to throw out a game. Crap, I got nothing. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Metro GameCast. Is it Gun Club?
It's not Gun Club.
No, it doesn't.
And you're right. There is some kind of movement. That's your clue.
All right,
It's
what is it?
very interesting. It's the only game that I know of that you can move around by putting the controller between your legs and hopping around in place.
Oh my god, it's Hop Along the Badlands.
Hop Along the Badlands. Ding, 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 ding.
So crazy. So crazy. Wow, dude. You know what? I need to this is just clearly I need to plug in my PSVR1. I need to make sure it's set up at all times. And I need to get back there and just play it on the regular because, dude, this game has been like a running gag on Without Parole and probably every VR channel for like since it came out. It's a lot of fun, but you do look like you're masturbating while you play it, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I remember you streaming this. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it didn't help that like you could like I was on camera and you could only see about down to my waist, and so you just saw my hand going up and down like this, like the whole time. It was hilarious. Oh man, I love it. I love it. Good stuff, man. All right, you guys, we got to get out of here. But thank you for spending your Wesday night with us. We really appreciate you being here. Thanks to everybody who helps the channel run, like Rody, the GameCat Army General, Rypop, everybody. There's just so many people, all my mods that help me out every single day. You guys are awesome. All my co-hosts, everybody who supports me financially, patreon.com/withoutparole everyone who's a member over here, everyone who tips during the show, thank you guys so very much. But as we said, we're just happy that you're here. Thank you for keeping us entertained in the chat while we try to keep you entertained. Thanks to everybody who hangs out, shoots the shit, helps during 20 questions, and of course, the other cats who sit back and watch the show and don't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Happy Wednesday, cats. See you Friday.
Let's go. Wes, we got Gerard Ebb with the level 2 membership in the chat says that John Lithgow is great in the Twilight Zone movie. Oh my god, was he on the plane? Is that who he was? I don't even remember. It's been a while.
I remember very little about that movie.
Yeah. Professor Lilith with the $5 tip says the Sunday multiplayer survey is posted. This is, guys, yet another reason to join the Discord. Every Sunday we get together and we play a game, and you guys get to vote on which game it is. Professor Lilith runs the whole thing. She says, choose your mostly co-op games from Among Us, Demeo, and Legendary Tales. So go vote in the Discord and then join us Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern to play some Sunday multiplayer games. Wes, we went back to 3 days a week. In case you forgot, the podcast is now
I
3 days a
remember
week. And there's and there's so many like little special segments that we do. Like AJ does Cue the Cat, and we do Game Cat name changes every Monday, and then on Friday we do Clip of the Week with Miles. But there was one to make sure that every Wednesday was also special, not just because you're here, but because there should be something specific we do every Wednesday. So every Wednesday we now do This Week in Without Parole History to end off the show.
This week.
So we're going to go back in time right now and see what we were talking about on this very show just a couple years ago. Let me see what we have as an option here. Boom. Okay. Yep. Okay. We can go to 2021.
All right.
Or we can go to 2022. You pick.
Let's do 2022 this time. We've been doing the older ones lately. Let's bring it a little bit more recent.
All right, here we go. In the brave new world of VR gaming, what do gamers want? Also celebrate Halloween and dreams. Dude, this is such a weird thumbnail because it's I bet I can kind of figure this out, because in the thumbnail we've got a bunch of Days Gone stuff, and also the Job Sim I Heart Job robot. So it must have been, do we want, it is kind of reflecting on something we talked about earlier today on this episode. I'm guessing this is like, do we want big AAA games, or do you want these really interactive sort of VR experiences?
Yeah, I think we want games. We may have wanted the experiences back then, but I think more and more people want games now.
Yeah, for sure. There was you would think that, but then we see the sales charts and it's like,
right.
like Job Sim always tends to get pretty high up there on the sales charts, and then there's some games sort of in the middle, like there's Swordsman, which is like, it's a game, but it's kind of bordering on experience, right? So, especially when compared to big AAA flat screen 60-hour games like Days Gone. So I think there's going to be a market for both of those for quite a while.
Gorilla Tag has made tens of millions of dollars. We are the minority. Don't ever forget that.
You're fucking right, dude. You're absolutely fucking right. But you know what? Here's the plus side of that. The millions or billions of dollars that Gorilla Tag has made has proven one thing, is that when I was talking shit about the younger generation who never wanted to be inside of a video game, it proves that there's a lot of kids out there who disagree with that statement. Because Gorilla Tag is definitely a game that kids have embraced and are spending a lot of money in. So they are going to grow up playing VR games and demanding more from their headsets and from their games. So that is a good sign.
Yep. Absolutely. I've said this, people ask, when is VR going to go mainstream, like for real go mainstream? It's going to be in like 10 years.
Yeah, when those kids are making games. Yep.
And they're spending money, like that, they all, like, VR is second nature to them. Like they've had it for a good portion of their life. So yeah, I think that it's kind of maybe not our generation, but the one directly behind us is kind of holding everything back. And once we get past them, it's it's smooth sailing.
I just want to point out that this thumbnail also proves that we had nothing to talk about 2 years ago either.
Oh, 100%. This was during the period of time where we were still coming to grips with it's really going to be next year.
Yeah.
Before we get our headset. Yeah.
Yep. All right, you guys. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and we will see you Friday. Love y'all.
Bye.